Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Jefferson nickel that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we are talking about a 5-cent coin that most people have spent without a second thought, yet some versions of it have sold for more than $1,000, and a few collectors still swear they found one in pocket change. I'm serious. This isn't ancient gold or some museum piece. It's a modern Jefferson nickel from 2004, tied to one of the greatest exploration stories in American history. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why some of these nickels are common, some are special, and a few are quietly hunted by collectors every single day. Stick with me, because near the end I'll tell you what this coin is actually worth today, and which tiny details can turn 5 cents into something way more interesting. So let's look at it together, right away. This doesn't look like a normal Jefferson nickel. Bring up a clean close-up here. The familiar Monticello is gone. Instead, on the back, you see a powerful image of a boat cutting through water, with the words Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark above it. This design was released to celebrate the famous expedition that pushed the United States westward and changed the nation forever. Flip the coin over. Thomas Jefferson is still there, but even he looks different. The portrait was refreshed, sharper, more modern. And on some versions, you'll notice something subtle but important in the lettering and strike quality. This was a big change year for the US Mint, and changes like this are where collectors start paying attention. Now here's the first twist. In 2004, two different Lewis and Clark nickels were released. The one we're focusing on today is the first design, often called the piece metal nickel. Millions were made, yes. But not all were made equally. Show a split screen of a Philadelphia Mint coin and a Denver Mint coin here. The mint mark matters. Strike quality matters. And condition matters more than most people realize. Here's where it gets interesting. Some of these nickels were struck with noticeably stronger details, especially in Jefferson's hair and the fine lines of the boat. Others came out weaker. And a small number left the mint with errors. Off-center strikes. Die cracks running through the lettering. Doubling that's easy to miss unless you know where to look. Zoom in tight on the words E pluribus unum here. This is where collectors slow down and really study the coin. Imagine pulling a nickel from a roll and noticing something just feels off. That moment is what keeps people searching, and there's history packed into this thing. Lewis and Clark's journey wasn't just exploration. It was dangerous, uncertain, and legendary. This coin isn't just money. It's a tribute to risk, curiosity, and the idea of pushing into the unknown. That story alone makes collectors want it. Add scarcity in high grades, and suddenly demand climbs. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where most people lean. In circulated condition, most 2004 Lewis and Clark Jefferson nickels are worth exactly what you'd expect. About 5 cents to maybe $1 if they're really clean. But in uncirculated condition, especially graded examples, the value jumps. Coins graded MS-67 have sold at auction for several $100s. And the finest known examples, with razor-sharp strikes and no visible marks, have reached auction prices in the range of $1,000 to $1,500, depending on the mint. And I appeal. That's still a nickel. Same size. Same weight. Totally different story. Before you dismiss it, remember this. These coins are still out there. In jars. In drawers. In old rolls from the bank. Someone watching this video might already own one and not even know it. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever checked your nickels closely? Do you own any of the Lewis and Clark designs from 2004 or 2005? And if you could add one coin to your collection right now, what would it be? Top 2, we are talking about a coin you've almost definitely held in your hand, and almost definitely ignored. A 1977 Jefferson nickel. 5 cents. Ordinary. Except some of these have quietly sold for hundreds of dollars, and a few error versions have made collectors stop mid-sentence when they spotted them. This is one of those coins that hides in plain sight. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what makes the 1977 nickel interesting, which tiny details matter, the errors collectors hunt for, and how much this coin is actually worth today if you find the right one. And near the end, I'll tell you why people still check pocket change for a coin that's nearly 50 years old. So let's put it on screen, bring up a clean close-up of the front. You see Thomas Jefferson, facing left, calm and familiar. The date 1977 sits to the right. No flashy redesigns here. This is the classic Jefferson nickel look that ran for decades. Flip it over and there's Monticello, Jefferson's home, detailed and symmetrical. At first glance, nothing special. That's exactly why this coin fools people. Now here's the twist. In 1977, the U.S. Mint struck over 800 million Jefferson nickels between Philadelphia and Denver. That sounds like a death sentence for value. But massive mintages are exactly where rare errors hide. And 1977 is known for several that collectors care about. Zoom in on the date and lettering here. One of the most famous is the 1977 double die obverse. Look closely at "In God We Trust" and the word "Liberty." On genuine examples, the letters appear doubled, not blurry, not damaged, but clearly repeated. It's subtle at first. Then once you see it, you can't unsee it. These came from a misaligned die during the striking process, and they slipped into circulation. Another thing to watch for is the 1977 nickel with no mint mark. Philadelphia coins didn't use mint marks back then, but some people confuse wear or grease-filled dies for errors. Real errors show consistent weakness or missing detail in specific areas, not random damage. Bring up a side-by-side comparison here so viewers can see the difference, and then there are off-center strikes. Clips. Die cracks slicing through Monticello like a lightning bolt. These are the kinds of coins that make collectors stop digging through rolls and start using magnifiers. Here's what makes this coin fun. The late 1970s were a strange time for US coinage. Inflation was high. People were hoarding silver coins even though nickels weren't silver. The mint was pushing machines hard to meet demand. Quality control wasn't always perfect. And that's how errors sneak out the door. Now let's talk value, because this is where expectations need a reality check. A typical circulated 1977 Jefferson nickel is worth face value 5 cents. Maybe 10 cents on a good day. An uncirculated example straight from a roll might bring $1 to $3. But high-grade coins are a different story. A 1977 nickel-graded MS-66 can sell for around $20 to $40. MS-67 examples have sold at auction in the range of $100 to $300, depending on eye appeal and strike quality. Error coins are where things jump. A genuine double-die 1977 nickel can sell for several $100s. Strong off-center strikes or dramatic errors have reached similar prices when collectors compete for them, still just a nickel. But not the same nickel. So now I'm curious, have you ever checked your change for a 1977 nickel? Do you collect error coins, or are you just getting started? And if you could find one coin in your pocket today, what would you hope it is? Top 3, we are talking about a coin that caused actual panic in America. Not a war coin. Not gold. A nickel. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was so feared to disappear that the U.S. Mint changed how coins were made, how dates were used, and how long a single year stayed in production. And most people still think it's just 5 cents. This coin has a story that's way bigger than its size. In the next few minutes, I'll show you why 1964 nickels were hoarded, what makes some of them surprisingly valuable, the rare errors collectors hunt for, and how much the right one can really sell for today. Stay to the end, because the highest prices come from details most people never check. Let's put it under the camera, bring up a sharp close-up of the front. You see Thomas Jefferson, steady and familiar. The date 1964 jumps out immediately. That date matters more than almost any other on a Jefferson nickel. Flip it over and there's Monticello, clean and bold. No mint mark on most of them. That's not a mistake. That's history. Here's what was happening. In the early 1960s, Americans were pulling silver coins out of circulation as prices rose. Even though nickels weren't silver, people panicked and started hoarding them too. The mint couldn't keep up. So in 1964, they struck Jefferson nickels non-stop. Not just during that year, but well into 1965 and beyond, all still dated 1964. Show a shot of stacks of nickels or overflowing coin bins here. Over 2 billion were made. That sounds like bad news for value. But this is where things flip. When mints run machines that hard, mistakes happen. And 1964 nickels are known for them. Zoom in on the lettering. One of the most collected varieties is the 1964 double die obverse. Look closely at "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." On real examples, the doubling is clear and separated, not fuzzy. These aren't common, and once you spot one, your heart rate jumps. Then there are repunched mint marks on Denver coins. Bring up a tight shot of the D mint mark. You'll sometimes see an extra outline, like a shadow underneath. That came from mint marks being punched by hand back then. Every punch was a chance for an error. Die cracks are another big one. Long fractures running through Jefferson's face or across Monticello. Each crack tells you that die was near the end of its life, and only a small number of coins escaped before it failed completely. Now here's the cliffhanger part: most 1964 nickels are worth face value. 5 cents. Even nice circulated ones. But condition changes everything. An uncirculated 1964 nickel with strong strike and clean surfaces can sell for $2 to $5 easily. Coins graded MS-66 often sell for $20 to $40. MS-67 examples have sold at auction for $200 or more. Error coins go higher. A confirmed double die can sell for several $100s. Dramatic die cracks and major errors can push into that same range when collectors compete. Still a nickel. Still overlooked. Still hiding in collections and old jars. So now I want to know. Do you own any 1964 nickels? Have you ever checked one closely under magnification? And if you could pull one coin from circulation tomorrow, which year would you hope to see? Top 4. We are talking about a nickel that quietly marks the end of a war and the beginning of a whole new era in America. A 1946 Jefferson nickel. 5 cents that most people glance at and move on from, yet this coin carries history, hidden value, and a few surprises that still make collectors stop and look twice. Here's the hook. This nickel was born right after World War II, at a moment when the United States was shifting gears fast. Factories were changing, soldiers were coming home, and the U.S. Mint was transitioning out of wartime production. And right in the middle of that shift, some very interesting nickels slipped into circulation. In the next few minutes, I'll show you why the 1946 Jefferson nickel matters, what details collectors search for, which errors can change its value, and how much the best examples have actually sold for. Stay with me, because the real value shows up near the end, and it all comes down to condition and tiny details. Let's bring it up on screen. Start with a clean close-up of the front. You see Thomas Jefferson facing left, strong and formal. The date 1946 sits to the right. This is the first year Jefferson nickels returned to their normal metal after the wartime silver alloy nickels made from 1942 to 1945. That alone makes this coin important. It marks the return to peacetime coinage. Flip it over. Monticello fills the back. Crisp steps. Sharp lettering. Or maybe not. This is where collectors lean in. The steps at the base of Monticello are one of the biggest value drivers on Jefferson nickels. Bring in a slow zoom here. Coins with 5 or 6 full steps are much harder to find, especially from 1946. Now here's where the story gets good. The mint was still adjusting after the war. Equipment was worn. Dies were reused longer than they should have been. And that led to errors. Look closely at the lettering on "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Some 1946 nickels show double dies, especially on the obverse. Real doubling looks clean and separated, not smeared. Once you see it, it jumps off the coin. Denver and San Francisco mint coins add another layer. Bring up a close-up of the mint mark area. Repunched mint marks exist, where the letter looks thick or shadowed. Die cracks are also common. Long raised lines cutting across Jefferson's portrait or slicing through Monticello. Each crack tells you that die was near failure, and only a limited number of coins escaped before it was replaced. Here's the cliffhanger: most 1946 nickels are not rare. Millions were made. A circulated example is usually worth about 5 to 20 cents. But condition changes everything. An uncirculated 1946 nickel can sell for $2 to $10. Coins graded MS-66 regularly sell for $40 to $70. And examples with full steps, especially MS-67 full-step coins, have sold at auction for several $100s, sometimes more depending on I appeal. Error coins go even higher. A confirmed double die or dramatic die crack can push values into the hundreds when collectors compete. So this little nickel isn't just spare change. It's a turning point. The first step out of wartime coinage. A quiet piece of American history that still rewards people who know what to look for. Now I want to hear from you. Do you own a 1946 Jefferson nickel? Have you ever checked the steps on Monticello? And which early Jefferson nickel would you love to add to your collection? Top 5. Rare nickel. We are talking about a coin almost everyone has touched, and almost everyone ignores. A 1979 Jefferson nickel. 5 cents. Pocket change. Or is it? Because some of these tiny coins have quietly sold for far more than their face value, and most people have no idea why. Stick with me, because in the next few minutes I'll show you exactly what to look for, the small details that separate a spender from a keeper, and why one version of this coin has surprised collectors at auction. At first glance, the 1979 Jefferson nickel looks familiar. Pull up a clean close-up of the front. You'll see Thomas Jefferson facing left, strong profile, simple design. Flip it over and there's Monticello, Jefferson's famous home. But this year matters. And condition matters even more. Now zoom in on the date and mint mark area. In 1979, nickels were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most circulated examples are worth exactly 5 cents. That's the part people stop at. But don't stop yet. Here's where it gets interesting. Some 1979 nickels were struck with errors. Off-center strikes. Weak or missing details. Double strikes that make Jefferson look slightly blurred. And in rare cases, coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. These mistakes happened fast, unnoticed, and escaped into circulation. Collectors love errors because they tell a story. A split second in the mint. A machine hiccup. A mistake no one could recreate on purpose. Even without errors, condition can change everything. Show a side-by-side of a worn nickel and a sharp, untouched one. A 1979 nickel in average condition is face value. But in mint state, never circulated, with full detail and strong luster, some have sold for several dollars. Proof versions from San Francisco, especially flawless ones, can reach the $10 to $20 range, and those rare error coins? Depending on the type and condition, real auction results have reached from $50 into the low hundreds. Not hype. Real collector money. So here's the question. Have you ever actually looked at your nickels? Not glanced. Looked. Because this is exactly the kind of coin people overlook every day. If you enjoyed this, hit like so more collectors see it. Drop a comment and tell me if you own a 1979 nickel, or which US coin you're hunting next. Subscribe for more real coin stories, and check out the next video where we dig into another everyday coin with a not-so-everyday twist.